What was your biggest "well now I don't want to do it" moment? While I was at a jeweler's shop buying my ex-girlfriend's engagement ring, she called and was screaming at me for having got the wrong kind of pot roast for a dinner we were hosting. I stood there, listening to her scream and cuss me out, and decided I didn't want to do this for the rest of my life. Happily married now to a woman that is way chill and never screams at me on the phone. As a kid, every time you're just about to say thank you and then your mother feels the need to jump in and ask you, what do you say? I'd if this counts, but I don't want to get in the shower, but once I'm in I don't want to get out. Nobody wanted to coach Little League when my sons started about 7 years ago or so. So if I wanted them to play, I'd have to coach. I've been doing it every year including All-Stars, and the program is pretty big now, but I wanted to stop so many times, and it all is related to the parents. They are unbelievable. Your kid is not as good as you think they are. I've had to physically stand between a 14-year-old umpire and a parent approaching him screaming, "Are you out of your freaking mind? First off, it was a strike. Your son is out. Second, he's 14 and are you out of your freaking mind?" Coming out of my room to socialize with family/guests only to have get a comment like, "Look who came out of his cave for once. Look who's about to go right back in it." I read a ton of fanfic, and I am that type to never forget to leave a kudo and a nice comment for the author thanking for brightening my day for free. Except when I see at the end of the fic a snippy, haughty author's note. How I know you hate to be reminded, but comments cost you nothing, and I can't believe I have to break it to you, but we can't create in vacuum blah blah. I am fine with people genuinely asking for comments, but those who patronizingly demand them make me just click out. Petty, I know. About 10 years ago I was asked to visit a client in a country I wasn't too sure about. Not a problem though, I'll just check the security advice first, if that's okay. That advice was when checking into your hotel, ensure you have an inward-facing room to minimize the risk of ricochet. You can find someone else to go see that client, thanks all the same. It literally costs you nothing to share this. When you're in the mood to clean or wash the dishes, then your mom calls you lazy and tells you to do it. In my elementary school they graded us on how many books we read, which took the fun out of reading and made me hate reading from 1st grade to 6th grade. I definitely would have read more during that time if they didn't make it mandatory. My mother always tells me something obvious whenever I try to do something, then immediately starts bragging to anybody nearby that I would have never figured out how to change the tire/wash those dishes/vacuum that rug if she hadn't told me how to do it. It has become a common thing recently to just drop whatever I'm doing and leave it unfinished until she does it herself. I hate having anyone hover over me just so they can treat me like a brainless moron who only exists at their personal amusement. When you say sorry and they say you better be, never wanted to take back my sorry so bad. I was 16, with a very short boy haircut that I'd had since I was 5. I was asked to be bridesmaid for my brother. Was always a tomboy. I expressed some concerns about how my hair would look with the fancy garlands that the bride was planning for us to wear, as I thought I'd look silly. Was told, well, you will just have to grow your hair, then. I'm out. I'm in my 50s now. I have to this day never been a bridesmaid. I was a pretty quiet kid. I wasn't shy, I just knew when to shut up. Whenever someone went, "Oh she does speak," or "Oh wow I thought you were mute," always made me want to shut down. When someone says want to hang out, it's not like you're doing anything right now. Doing nothing suddenly sounds more pleasant than hanging out with you. A big name trainer came to the barn where I kept my horse. Totally different discipline, but I had absolutely no problem with her and her dozens of students being there. I happen to be pretty good at certain things that this trainer simply could not do. She was very well known, but not necessarily good at her job. So she had me give her students pointers from time to time. I love all aspects of the sport, and I enjoy working with younger riders, so I gave them pointers. You can see where this is going. Before long, I was essentially teaching her students. She was getting paid hundreds of dollars for me to teach her students. One night, she used my horse for one of her lessons, and got mad at me because her student couldn't ride it properly. Imagine a banjo player trying to squeak out a tune on a clarinet. It's not that the student couldn't ride it properly, she just didn't know how to finesse the situation. Essentially, the trainer thought that since I was working with the student should be able to ride my horse perfectly. Hell, I couldn't ride my horse perfectly. So I pretty much stopped coming out when I knew they would be there, and if they were there, I stayed away. As much as I loved working with the kids, that ruined it. I'll happily go down on people I'm dating pretty much any time they like, but I swear to God, if I feel your hand on the top of my head. No. Just no. When I start a sentence and I'm immediately interrupted for no real reason, then they'll have the nerve to ask what I was saying. According to YouTube statistics, X% of my viewers aren't subscribed, so subscribe if you haven't. I mean, it's probably right, but it makes me not want to. Whenever my wife changes something up in her looks and we are out with friends, there is always that one friend who has to specifically comes over and makes a show asking me, OMG, don't you just think she's so beautiful? Why don't you tell her how beautiful she is? To which I want to say, of course I do. Do you think we wait for your presence to have affectionate loving moments? Fuck off, I don't need your help to be a good partner. I just leave it at yes, of course I do though. Asking me to anything, as I was just about to do it. My mum and I had both been thinking that what with the pandemic, and with how our house is situated so that it's quite visible when entering our village, we should decorate the house more than we normally do for Christmas. Nothing fancy, just a few more lights outside. Then we got a village-wide email from a very well-meaning lady saying that since Christmas is going to be a little bit different this year, she was launching Operation Light Up Village, and wanted us all to put extra effort into the Christmas decorations. We both instantly went off the idea. We'd really wanted to potentially cheer people up on their drives home, but not if this woman was going to think she was the sole factor in making this happen. We eventually did decorate the house, and even brought some new multicolored lights to do it, but it was later than usual, just so that we could make sure we weren't doing it at the same time as the operation. Having to read a book for school. Trying to push through depression and start cleaning the house, and people talk to you like an idiot. I only clean when no one is home now. Like/share if you agree. Thanks, now I'm never going to. When I was younger, all those times I was thinking, you know what, I'm finally going to get around to X, and then as soon as I get up and I'm about to do it, either my mom or dad would say, hey, at 0 by 1s, how about you do X, now, and then I'm infuriated and am no longer in the mood to do X. When you go back to school, it'll just be you in a classroom and the teachers teach on Zoom. Basically, we go back into school but just to do the same thing we did at home, but with a higher risk at COVID. When I clearly have the left turn blinker on and the passenger says, you're gonna wanna take this next left. Whenever someone asks me when I'm literally about to fucking do it. I'm tired and about to head to bed. Roommate tells me I should get some sleep. I did not. Learning to drive. As a child, always dreamed of growing up and being able to drive. Then come of age, and realize that it's hard. You have to have lessons. Lots of lessons. That cost lots of money. When you're a teenager, not much is a lot. And it's scary learning on the actual roads, with other cars, and buses, and lorries. Then, you have to take a series of tests, as well, costing more money. I decided I wasn't in that much of a hurry to learn after all. Reading. I like reading, but the moment my mom/a teacher tells me to read, I just don't feel like it anymore. Anytime a YouTuber says like and subscribe within the first quarter of the video, I just nope right off the video. When I've spent all day cleaning the house and only have one thing left to do and my wife tells me to do it. Like nah. I wanted one of those inflatable T-Rex suits for years. One Christmas Eve I had a few more brews than was good for me, so felt pretty fragile on Christmas morning. Having been disturbed from my hungover stupor, in the name of family festive spirit I opened the much longed for T-Rex suit. I don't know if you have ever worn one of those things, but it's basically a big plastic bag with some fans that keep it inflated. Putting this thing on did not seem like a great idea, but given how long I had wanted one, there was no way I was getting out of donning it. As I zipped it up and the full force of the recirculated doner kebab whiff engulfed me like some sort of modern day Iron Maiden, I realized a Christmas chunder was imminent. The T-Rex mittens proved too fiddly to mix with the fastenings, the spatter of half-digested quality street and parts of pita bread rebounding off the faceplate continue to haunt my dreams. I haven't worn it since. I had a huge crush on this girl in college. We were a part of a friend group, but we got along very well, so we spent a lot of time together. We went out a few times and she was very flirty with me, but whenever I said something semi-romantic, she'd ignore it. Then I found out she'd started dating another guy. I wasn't jealous, just peeved because it honestly felt like she was leading me on and kept me around as rebound in case this guy fell through. 3 weeks later, a friend told me that she'd broken up with the guy. He only wanted to sleep with her, whereas she wanted a relationship. At a party later that day, I was chilling under a blanket on a couch when she suddenly got under the blanket with me, pressed her leg on mine, and said, "Hey, you know our friends said we'd look really cute as a couple?" I stared at her glowingly beautiful face, which till now is still unmatched by anyone I know, gave a smug smile and said, "Oh, but then we'd ruin our friendship." Then I got out of the blanket, grabbed the big-ass bowl of chips on the table, and went out to the backyard to bask in my swelling pride. 5 years later, I still regret doing that. Spouse and I were talking about taking down the Christmas decorations in front of my extremely religious and devout Catholic mother-in-law. She immediately says, "Well, you have to leave it up until the Feast of the Three Kings. The decorations are still up now because fuck you, and not just that, we're horrible procrastinators." Whenever I get into the mood to do something fun like go take a walk, play games, it's always do this or do that. With my family, when you have that energy to just get up and clean your room, then your mom comes in and says clean your room, it's just a trigger for me. When someone reminds you that you breath automatically. Every time. One Christmas, I was going to invite the family to gather at our house for a change, instead of at our aunt's home. But some are vegans, others allergic to all kinds of foods, while still others insist on having certain traditional dishes and that the house had to be decorated a particular way, or it wouldn't feel like Christmas. In the end, I just gave up and we went to our aunt's house instead, let her deal with all their demands and complaints. When certain people in my home become backseat gamers, I purposely FK around just to make them mad at that point. Building a puzzle, finished it yesterday night, a grandfather clock that was a 3D puzzle, and my mom immediately asks me, "Are you gonna finish that tonight?" Immediately remembered I had some double XP tokens that needed to be used. Anytime someone tells me what to do, may have a touch of defiance disorder. When I'm planning on doing something and someone tells me to do it before I can, there is no way to prove you were going to do it before they asked you, and it annoys the shit out of me. This is mostly work related. Literally any time I want to get schoolwork done, especially in this time. Like Jesus, I know I'm supposed to do my homework, but can I go 30 minutes without having a parent barge in my room to ask please and thank you? Planning to go to store, then someone invites themselves to go with me. I have enough anxiety when it comes to crowds. I don't want to be having to worry about where you are on top of that. I get in and leave. But every time someone decides to come with, we end up shopping. F that. I'd rather just not go then. Not a "well, now I don't want to do it" moment, rather than a "now I don't want it" moment. Whenever I was gifted something somewhat expensive or hard to find, that person always tries to guilt trip me about how expensive or hard it was to get/buy. It results in me feeling bad for ever getting it in the first place. For my 18th birthday, my parents bought me 18 lottery tickets. It's a sort of tradition in our family. Didn't win anything except another 3 tickets. The day after my party, my best friend and I were out shopping and I decided I wanted to exchange them for the other tickets, so we stopped at the nearest gas station. I won $500. As we were leaving, I was considering splitting the money with my friend. Until we got in the car and she told me to buy her a new phone. I was silent for a moment out of shock, and she added that money is mine too. I drove here, I gave her $10 for gas. We're no longer friends. Periods. Anytime I see a book that looks interesting, I'll go to the library and get it, but after all of that, I don't want to read it anymore. It's the same thing when I randomly think that I want to learn about something new. I'll look up the Wikipedia page, but then I don't feel like reading it. Created weekly videos for my fantasy football group. One week the video was a couple days late. One of the guys said about time. Those two words soured everything. Never made another video and left the league at season's end. When the vicar asks if you want her to be your wedded wife. Waking up every day. When I turned 18, legal age to drink, I stopped drinking alcohol. It didn't seem as much fun when I could just go to the local pub. I once was about to go on a kids' TV program, and one of the bitches there said if my dad was friend of the owner I wouldn't need talent. I was 13 and she was 18. Didn't do it after that comment. Now I understand I did not do anything wrong. I auditioned and do the same process as the other kids. My dad was the friend of the owner, but he also saw something in me. Anyways, when people judge your situation, if you are weak, that's a big well, now I don't want to do it. Anything that's asked with some kind of pressure behind it. Want me to give you feedback, invite your friends over, or help you with something? I'm usually down. Say anything like, or I can't give you feedback, or I'll leave to go see them, or I won't be able to do this and that, and you can fuck right off. I'm generally flexible and helpful, yet try to pressure me and I turn into a stubborn mule. So I was going to do the work after a meeting. Straight away, then the teacher called me out specifically saying, insert my name, don't forget to do the work this time. Then I didn't do it. No regrets. When people tell me to apologize after I answer their question, I usually just say I'm sorry you're offended. I always, without fail, wash the dishes every night. My mother knows this but always feels the need to tell me, and I get frustrated because I always do it without her asking. Me, 1993, I can go to the rainbow gathering this year. It was in Alabama. When I'm about to do a job like the washing up or cooking a meal to surprise the missus, then she asks if I can do it. Used to happen on a weekly basis when I was a kid too. When I'm already heading up to do something, and someone tell me, oh go do that thing. I'm already doing it, it drives me mad and I hate it. I wish you'd speak more, you're really funny. Like, how am I supposed to respond to that? To a stand-up bit? Improvisational comedy? I've just started saying, I don't like carrying a conversation by myself. I have yet to meet somebody that gets the point. I hiked the Colorado Trail. My parents bought me a spot device so they could track my location, but I had to check in on the device. I'd check in every morning and every night. Early in the hike I did my first 20-mile day and I was so tired. My check-in took longer than normal because I was walking all day. I had one random spot of service, and I guess my sister had been calling me non-stop because the second I came into service my sister called me yelling at me for not checking in. I was going to check in when I set up camp. But because she was just so annoying about it I didn't want to. This sounds awful but giving to charity, hear me out. So I was leaving a shop and there was this charity collection person outside and they were like, will you donate to this charity? And I was like, sure, but I only have like £1.50 and change on me, and they were like, we take card payments too. When I was 20, I started to wonder what alcohol was like. Come 21 and I lost interest. My life. Everyone kept saying live your best life. Now I want fucking die. Ordering Mexican food when drunk. One New Year's Eve I was really excited to go out with friends and decided I wanted to look good and wear my suit. Well, at the time I had put on some weight and hadn't thought much about it, so I try on my suit and nothing seems to be fitting right, the belt is no longer long enough, and my pants are squeezing too much. After enough struggling I got frustrated and felt fat and pouted for a while that I wasn't going to go lol. Vanity request for a chance to be considered for a do with an ex. I like to get cute when I go out, but shallowness like that makes me not want to shower and leave the house in a thrift store prom dress and scuba flippers. I get pretty for me and have never been able to care what anyone thinks. There's always going to be someone prettier or studlier than you. If you hear someone measure you like that, bet you are filling in as a stand-in till they can get a trophy. Objectification at its finest. Before anyone gives me the attraction argument, I argue that I have not been particularly gravitated to someone till I got to know them, and then everything about them was beautiful. I was food shopping with my mum and I put a loaf of bread in the trolley and she said if I keep eating toast like I used to, then I'll end up the way I was. I've recently lost 21 kilograms due to developing health issues and cut out lots of foods due to fear that they'll make me ill. She is well aware of these since I still live at home. Now I never want to eat toast again out of spite lol. Set an alarm for 8 AM, really needed to get up early. Alarm goes off in the morning. Brain, well now you're not doing it. When I'm in TikTok and I wanna buy from a small business I see, but then they use all of those guilt trip audios and I just lose all interest. I understand you want to grow your business, but these audios aren't all that great. Same with the guilt trip posts. Literally every morning since I've been living with my dad and stepmom, I wake up on my own for the most part, go down to the kitchen to make food, and then my stepmom comes down the stairs and tells me I need to make food, while watching me boil water and opening a pack of instant oatmeal. Instantly makes me lose my appetite, and then she watches me make the food and doesn't leave till I eat half of it. It confuses me so much and it gives me anxiety when people watch me eat, but she doesn't believe me because I eat in front of them all the time. That doesn't mean I want to. I was doing random challenges with my friend. The challenge said I could look at her phone and do anything I wanted. She used to tell me that she and her BF was sending each other nudes. I thought it was just like bikini photos. She gave me her phone and walk a little away from me because challenge said so. I opened gallery, scroll a little. I first thought I saw lips. I accidentally see my friend's nude. She doesn't know, but WTF will I do, dude? It's most disgusting. Well now I don't want to see your phone now moment I have ever had. I had an argument with a friend and knew I stuffed up and was at fault immediately. I was talking to a third friend about it, explaining I felt bad and knew I needed to apologize, but just wanted to give some time to ease the tension before apologizing. Whilst I talked to the third friend, she also spoke to my second friend who I had just argued with, and he goes, "Watch me be the one who has to apologize because my name never apologizes." My brain immediately went to the Pingu meme and said, well now I don't want to. I was thinking about going to one of my favorite places, but then I found out they added a dry bar at a display wall directly next to a place where people play loose with rules on high-powered toys. Now I'm going all corn like, fuck that shit. I'll stay home and have a happy life that's not extremely close to where my cousin actually had his head literally cut off by someone driving under the influence of that shit. Edit, sorry for cursing. It's an appropriate thing to do in written context for something so serious. I mean no offense to anyone. My dad was always against drinking soda outside weekends. We should drink water. Then once I came home from soccer training and it was hot and there was a cold bottle of cola in the fridge. I poured in a full glass and ready to drink, and my dad stepped in like, hey, you shouldn't drink cola. It's not the weekend yet. I then emptied the full glass in the sink saying okay if that's what you want. Work today. Was supposed to come in to meet an elevator inspector, but an employee came in with a shotgun and unloaded 4 rounds into someone before I got there. Well now I don't want to do it. Rescheduled for next week. I wanted to do a project, was very into it because I liked the concept, but then the group members said that I have to lead the project, which I were going to do anyway because I had a plan on me the time I picked the project, but well I'm not doing it anymore. And I now despise the project too. For some reason, my mother always has felt insulted. whenever I say please while asking for something or a favor for some reason. I'm sure that's why I don't feel comfortable saying please now and, instead, change my intonation so it's clear I'm asking politely about something, or don't ask any favors at all in some cases. I work for my city's water board company and frequently check water to measure chlorine. Often I open fire hydrants and valves. Sometimes it gets in people's yard, but when the people actually come out and ask me if I spray the water on their yard cause they're lazy and don't wanna water their yard, it makes me not really wanna do it. Especially since I hear it about 10 times a day. Girl I barely knew pestered me to drive her home, across the street. Then I get invited inside. Then asks me if I wanted to listen to some music which was only available in her bedroom. I walked those stairs like it was the Green Mile. She then undresses nice and slow, I contact people. She has on some sort of sweet looking / matching bra and panties with snaps connecting to her stockings. I'm wondering why. And I tried to even remember her name. I did it. I can't help it. I'm shameless. She was loud. Really loud, like you definitely need a house / cabin in the middle of the woods loud. Definitely not the apartment we were in. Uck. Her last words were, "Aren't you at least going to kiss me before you say goodbye?" It's been 35 years and I still remember the look on her face. Frown. I wish I could scrub the whole thing from memory. The aftermath. I get home. I take a shower. I notice my pubes are green from something on them. I'm like, WTF. I was so freaked out I went to see my mom. She laughed at me and then laughed harder when I asked for the Brillo pad. Was trying to bang this Swedish girl in my dorms for like a month. We had made out and danced and stuff at a party and she lived right down my hall. I just never ended up sealing the deal. Another Swedish dude lived right across the hall from her. William, that's his fucking name. I was pretty good buddies with William. We played N64 Super Smash Bros. And smoked weed together pretty regularly, and he was a good dude. But I also know that he banged a bunch of dirty sorority chicks that had been passed around on a regular basis, and yeah, there were STI rumors floating around. Well, Swedish girl finally hits me up on a text and makes it sound like I will definitely be getting laid if I come watch a movie in her room. I am currently smoking weed and playing Super Smash with William and some other brothers. I exclaim my excitement. William, there goes Alice. Ha. I've boned her like 6 times already and it's nothing special. Well, then I didn't want to do it, literally. When you're eating something and you think to yourself just a slice is fine, I really don't need any more, and then you hear someone say ooh, are you eating that? In a condescending way. Well, now I do. I'm eating the whole thing, bitch. Getting my hand surgery done at a military training hospital, woman face palming, they effed up doing a nerve block, so I ended up panicking. I told them I didn't want to have the surgery anymore, but I was doped up, so they just wheeled me away. Shopping trolley. I had to have 2 more surgeries to fix what the first surgeon did, and my hand is worse than before the first surgery. Pensive face. When my mom told me to clean my room. When I'm enjoying reading a book and then my mom thinks I'm playing video games, so tells me to read. It just takes all the fun when she forces you. When someone tells me to do something I was already about to do or in the process of doing. Playing rugby, I was captain and our best big guy tackler. They have a penalty at the 10 and I know it's my tackle. I'm warming up, big lad is warming up, everyone else is a step back. Then coach shouts, Landvi, that's your guy. I know, coach, but now everyone watching knows my name if I fuck up. It made me nervous as fuck and I wished it weren't my hit. I still stopped him, but damn, that was nerve-wracking. A little bit of the opposite. Every time I go to eat something in front of my mom, she either sighs at me or just stares at me with a slight look of the fuck you eating that for? I have a weight problem that I have made great strides to fix and it is working wonderfully, but whenever she does that I just want to stare back at her and inhale whatever it is I picked up. Invited to participate in some random activity at a high school pep rally. My high school would call an assembly to host a pep rally every season during the school year. During these assemblies there would be random activities like trying to throw a ball through a small target, a potato sack relay race, musical chairs, that kind of thing. I had imagined it would be neat to participate in one of those activities. Then one day I was pulled out of class and some student that was like the representative of the pep rally planning committee asked if I wanted to be part of the pep rally. I said something along the lines of, "Oh, that sounds interesting and fun, but no thank you." And the student representative seemed a little confused because this was apparently the first time somebody had refused. It was at that moment I realized I'm not really interested in playing a large game of musical chairs in front of a larger group of my peers. Learning that growing up grants more freedom, yet heaps on the responsibility. When you get up to do the dishes cause you feel like doing that, but then your parents tell you yo do the dishes, and well then you don't want to do it anymore. Soon as did it. Whenever I go to a restaurant where you order at the counter and they ask me if I want to leave a tip, I always leave tips, but now that I'm being pressured to tell them what amount I want to leave, it makes me uncomfortable. I used to work at a place where some of the employees did this, and they would always tell me how they make so much more money that way by guilting people into giving them tips. I get it since not many people tip at these kinds of places, but I just think it's rude and it always makes me not want to tip them. When I was going to go put the dishes away, but then my mom asked me first. Ever been told or reminded to do an activity while you're in the middle of doing it? I don't know if this counts, but in late August of 2001, I enlisted in the military because I was poor and I needed money for college. Then came the 9th of November 2001. When you're going to clean your room, but then your mom says to clean your room. Watch people not reblog this. Great idea. Bye. The new trend of remember, likes and retweets cost nothing, and if this flops I'll delete. When I'm looking at buying something and an employee starts talking to me. This is a more radical and unfortunately politically dark example, but a couple days ago I learned that my particular favorite emoji to use in texts, the OK symbol, is a symbol used by white supremacists, and has been for a few years. And when I learned about this, I be like, great, now I don't wanna do that cause now it's fucking racist. Every time someone tells me to do something just as I'm about to do it, dressing nicely. If I take the effort, I both want it recognized and don't want it recognized. Makes me not want to do it either way, so I've screwed myself. I was gonna clean the dishes by myself to make my mom happy because she was salty with hours of work ahead of her. She saw me about to do them, but then she said, "Finally, you stopped being so lazy, jeez." Then I was like, screw this, I'm out. I'm doing the dishes and my guardian will be like, do the dishes. We got on the front page of Hot Let's Go. I would like to thank the people who stopped by. Second trailer to Cyberpunk. I don't think I have one biggest moment, but generally, and I think it applies for everyone, whenever I want to do something, and then someone tells me to do so. I believe there is one thing that is even worse, when you do something nice out of nowhere, just to do something nice, for the sake of the happiness, and then you are expected to do it. In other words, and example, you make someone a nice breakfast and then the person tells you didn't make the breakfast. With the tone of slightly anger voice. I hope you know what I mean. My school was showing a much of us stuff for a working thing like experience or something, and they showed us workers' safety videos, like one comedic, one accidentally comedic, and two tragic. It slightly traumatized me, and now I have a fear of losing my eyes like more than the next person. Me just trying to clean up my room as a kid and my mom coming in and saying, "Get this mess cleaned up, and don't forget to sweep." First of all, what you think I'm doing? And second, of course I was gonna sweep, but now I don't wanna do it. I was going to do something, but then my mom bugged me about it and now I don't want to do it. When I'm about to do the dishes and my sister comes into the room just to tell me to do what I'm about to do. When I want to do my school work and my parents or teachers tell me to do it. Every time I'm looking for something to do at work and someone says, "Well, I have something." So rising amount of mom comments ITT. I had to double check the title of this post to see if I missed something mom related. I'm about to do some cleaning and my mother says, "Can you clean this?" Eating after I realized I'm a little underweight. I don't feel like it as much anymore. Don't worry, not wanting to doesn't mean not doing it. I'm still eating enough. I love cleaning my room until my mom tells me to. I once was so bored that I decided to clean out our bookshelf full of comic books and coloring books. Me, just starting. Mom, what are you doing? Me, cleaning the shelf. Mom, oh, can you clean and organize my shoe rack as well? Vish takes up the whole length of the wall and it isn't a small room. Me, yay, no, I think I'll do something else, and walks out of room. Mom, angry that I don't want to do it. After I climbed up the ladder to jump off the high dive at the pool and looked down. As a teenager, feeling productive and going to do a chore/general task without being asked, then being told to do exactly what you had in mind. When a super hot girl wants to fuck you but right before you do the deed she tells you that she just fucked one of your friends last Friday. When I want to go to sleep. I'm a homebody and would rather stay inside. But now that we have to, I don't want to. Going to read a book, then having the teacher tell you that you have to read it. I used to want to go spelunking, but then I heard about the death of John Edward Jones in the Nutty Putty Caves. When you're about to do any chore like the dishes, make your bed, mop the floors, etc., and a parent goes, make sure you insert chore you were about to do. When my mom finally agreed me to do something after a long discussion on why I shouldn't and aren't allowed, I think that was her strategy. TBH. People who don't like being told to do anything. Getting chased by camel. Getting a real job. When I was about to get the snacks and then someone tell me go get the snacks, then I decided not to go. When I wanted to repeatedly have sex with my best friend, consensual, but 3 times in a row we were stopped for various reasons. No condom too small for him, we became unsure, and decided we just didn't want to do it anymore regardless of the circumstances. Pre-COVID, make fun plans a week out. Day off, dread following through. Thanks social anxiety. The outer thread of the cucumber girl made me want to eat more cucumber. We were about to try to ski Corbett's Couloir at Jackson Hole. It's steep AF. So we're in line. Looking down. And it's steep AF. I mean really. And my heart is pounding and I'm asking myself, am I really going to do this? Now that I'm up here I don't believe I want to do this. But then my body goes for it. And gets through beautifully. So now I have to, and I take the plunge and miraculously, do just fine. An absolutely unbelievable adrenaline rush. We take the run once more that same day. Then one more time the next. Being about to do the chores at home or work, and then being told to do it. When mom tells me to do chores I was in the process of doing it. When my dad says my hair looks nice pulled up. Say hi to guests.